on 5 News this morning, a former Crawford County deputy filing to appeal his prison sentence.
We'll have those details ahead.
This is a movement, an anti-war movement.
New fallout over the planned deportation of a Palestinian activist. What a federal judge is saying about the arrest of a legal U.S. resident.
For the first time this year, daytime highs into those low 80s and plenty of sunshine. We'll talk about it coming up.
And the city of Bentonville is set to vote on doubling water rates tonight. We'll hear why they say it's needed and why some residents are concerned.
Covering news where you live.
Your 5 News this morning starts now.
Well, good morning. Thanks. So, hello.
We're making sure you're awake this morning.
All right, if that didn't make you dizzy, it'll get you awake there. What else will wake you up today is good cup of coffee and good weather.
Perfect weather. Sunshine. We're all about it, Stephen.
I think I need the same camera movement over
here.
Yeah,
you need to wake up a little bit.
Yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous yesterday. Today's going to be even better. Sunshine, a little bit warmer. Overall, very nice today once again, outside of the strong winds that we'll have. Two things to look out for this week in the way of two storm chances. First one comes late Wednesday evening. The chances of a few isolated thunderstorms, but also carrying the risk of some hail, maybe some strong winds. Overall, those threats on the lower end of things, and the highest risk is going to be south of I-40. We'll break down that storm risk here in just a few minutes, but the next risk would be coming in by the time we get to this upcoming Friday. That's what we've been talking about over the past several days. While we're still not out of the woods just yet, we have some positive notes to pass along for today. Still have the chances for some strong to severe thunderstorms, but the highest risk continues to look like it's going to be further off towards the east. We'll break down that system here in just a few minutes as well. Current temperatures as you head out the door this morning, anywhere between those 40s and 50s. Really nice start to our Tuesday, and again, another day where we're going to struggle to find any of those clouds. Lots of sunshine throughout the day. Once again, daytime highs reaching up into those upper 70s and low 80s for northwest Arkansas. Absolutely picture perfect outside across the river valley. That's where we have the best chance of seeing those low 80s for the first time in a long time with lots of sunshine. We'll talk about those thunderstorm chances coming up.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Stephen.
Well, continuing coverage this morning, a former Crawford deputy sentenced to prison filed an appeal saying that a federal court unfairly applied to sentencing.
Levi White was convicted last year for an incident which happened back in 2022. He was sentenced to 63 months in federal prison, followed by a 2-year supervised release after pleading guilty to deprivation of rights.
Videos captured of the incident showed the officers and the violent arrest of Randall Worcester. Another former deputy seen in the videos, Zachary King, was also sentenced to prison. No charges were filed against a third officer with the Mulberry Police Department. In Monday's federal court filing, White's attorney argues that the court unfairly applied sentencing enhancements, such as using a dangerous weapon in his status as a public official. A trial date has also been set for a former Bentonville teacher. Micah Whitfield is accused of sexually assaulting a student. We've learned his trial is now set for June. Whitfield, who was working as the technical director of the Errand Arts Center, was fired from the position with the Bentonville School District after his arrest. He's accused of making inappropriate advances towards a student, including sending text messages and physical contact.
Well, 3 people in Rogers are now charged with capital murder for a deadly shooting, which happened over the weekend. Rogers police say it was just after midnight on Saturday when officers arrived there on South B Street to find Andreas Fonseca had been shot. He died after being rushed to the hospital. Jared Stiles, Amy Mandahuno, and Eileen Rocha are all in custody this morning for the crime. According to prosecutors, all 3 are minors but being charged as adults. Stiles and Rocha are also accused of lying to police. Investigators allege 32 total rounds were fired at the crime scene from 3 different guns. And Bentonville city leaders will vote tonight on a plan that could double water rates, a cost some people say they can't afford.
5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley joins us now with why the city is pushing for this increase. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, Tiffany and Joe. City leaders say Bentonville needs this money to fix some major water leaks, saying some months they're losing 50% or more of the supply. The city also points to inflation and rising wholesale water costs as factors. If this is approved, water rates would double and the overall utility cost would rise about 12%. The city says for the average customer, that would mean about $25 more per month for the water portion of their bill. Residents at Monday night's meeting pushed back, saying they shouldn't have to cover the cost, and they want the city to find other solutions like impact fees or raising rates but not doubling them.
On a fixed income. To jump 100% on just water and knowing everything else is gonna go up, it's really gonna be hard for a retiree to live in this town.
The city says they can't use impact fees to fix the current water problems, saying those fees are meant to reduce the impact of growth-related water and sewer projects, not to be used for operating costs. They say right now the best way to cut costs is by fixing the water leaks. City Council is expected to make a decision on this tonight. We'll be following the vote and we'll bring you updates. Morgan Wrigley, 5 News.
All right, thanks so much for that, Morgan. Well, happening this week, U.S. Marshals are set to auction off 735 acres of historic land. This will be in Mountainburg tomorrow. The bidding will start at $1.46 million. Now, the land predates World War II and was home to nearly 700 who lived in 2 former towns, Schauberg and Armada. The property includes a 4,382 square foot home built in the 1870s that originally was a schoolhouse. Now, despite the area's rich history, the land will go up for auction this week. Lacey Hendricks, the current property owner, says her family owned the land for the last 50 years.
There are generations of stories, from the railroad to the railroad workers who built it, to the town, the timber, the Native Americans. There's significant history, and the fact that my family has held it for 50 years, it really has kept all of those pieces in place.
Well, Hendricks and her family say they are hopeful that the new buyer will preserve the land and create an archive for visitors to learn about its history.
All right, here's a traffic update for you. Unfortunately, we got 2 accidents to talk about. We've been talking about that I-40 accident there in Knoxville. This is a current look at that situation. Still, traffic only able to move eastbound on the left shoulder right now. Multiple agencies reporting to that accident right now, more than likely. Going to take a while to clean up still. But another accident on 412, this now in between Springdale and Siloam Springs. This accident is just over near the Illinois River. You can see the traffic back up there. This is also the eastbound lane. RDOT has this listed as a multiple vehicle accident going eastbound into Springdale this morning on 412. You need to use some caution as you hit the roads this morning. Multiple accidents out there causing some slowdowns.
Well, today, President Donald Trump is set to address a gathering of business leaders. All eyes are on Wall Street after steep losses on Monday. It came after the president declined to rule out a recession during a television interview over the weekend. Meanwhile, China slapped new retaliatory tariffs on U.S. agricultural products like beef, poultry, and wheat. And the Premier of Ontario, Canada, added a 25% surcharge on electricity exports to 3 U.S. states.
It's not the American people who started this trade war. It's one person who's responsible. That's President Trump.
The tariffs are going to be the greatest thing we've ever done as a country.
On Capitol Hill, the House could vote as soon as today on a GOP bill to avoid a partial government shutdown on Friday. Well, new fallout after a legal U.S. resident was detained and threatened with deportation. This after organizing pro-Palestinian rallies.
A federal judge has now temporarily blocked the deportation of that man, a Columbia University graduate. Derek Waller reports.
What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Demonstrators flooded New York City streets Monday in support of Columbia University graduate Mahmoud Khalil, detained over the weekend by immigration agents. According to Khalil's lawyer, ICE agents initially said they were acting on a State Department order to revoke his student visa, but the Syrian native is actually a U.S. green card holder. Currently detained in Louisiana, Khalil was known for organizing pro-Palestinian protests while he was a student. Here he is last April staging a sit-in.
This is a movement, an anti-war movement.
On Monday, a federal judge temporarily blocked Khalil's deportation, scheduling a hearing for Wednesday. On social media, President Trump called Khalil and like-minded activists pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, and anti-American.
It's like sort of something that you hear about happening in, like, you know, Russia, Nazi Germany, these places that, like, we've for so long pretended that we're not.
Backlash over the arrest, now overshadowing concerns some students and professors have about incidents of anti-Semitism on campus.
And so what more does Columbia need to do to combat this problem, this anti-Semitism problem?
I was
mostly shocked to see that there's a reluctance to take responsibility for the problem.
And university leadership is really facing criticism from all sides. The Trump administration revoked $400 million in grant money, while student supporters of Palestine staged protests last week after a student who disrupted a class on Jewish studies was expelled. I'm Derek Waller, CBS News.